NFL playoffs, wild card round. We've got New Orleans at the Seattle Seahawks. Johnny, tell us the line. Where are we at with the number on this game?
First off, 7-9, first time in NFL history, and they're hosting the home game. So, it's almost like you're in Bizarro world with this game. Saints opened at 10, no-brainer. Public's loving the Saints. Line's up to 10.5. The total's actually down to 44 from the opener 45, despite the early public action, at least, liking the over. The Seahawks, out of their 9 losses, their average beatdown was around 21 points. You're talking, even a low-level team in the NFL doesn't average losing by 3 TDs or more. That's like a low-level college team. So, right there is like right out the gate, wow. You're getting beat by 3 touchdowns or more on average. They already played the Saints once this year, got beat 34-19. Marco, I know you're a huge public perception guy. So before I go in, to my analysis on the game and who I like, how does that factor in the public perception here?
Well, there's no question. This is the public perception game of the week for sure, because all you saw last week is, how whenever they won the game, Seattle, how it was such a disgrace to have a 7-9 team hosting a playoff game. Not only are they hosting the playoff game, they're hosting the defending Super Bowl champs, New Orleans. And, it is what it is. It is a division. You got to do it. The public perception is so high on this game. You're getting tremendous value. If you want to bet this game, and I know you're going to have the official pick, so I don't have an official play here, but I'm going to agree with you in where you're going, as we talked beforehand. This is a situation, value-wise, looking at it strictly that way, you got to look at Seattle. Because here's why, Johnny. You mentioned they played already. They played in New Orleans. New Orleans won the game, as you said, 34-19. They were 11-point favorite at home. At home. They're laying 11 on the road now.
Right.
Now, you're going to tell me that this is, you're supposed to get 3-point swing for home. So that's a 6-point difference. There's 6 points of value here from that first game to this game. Granted, give some, but not 6 points because they're 7-9. They can't help their division was terrible.
Right.
Or
they were kind of terrible too. But.
Well, the whole division was terrible. But one thing that is going to go unnoticed in here, and I think it's something that's a sneaky part of it. We all know, and you said it. We're starting the playoffs. Everybody has a 0-0 record. We are starting the playoffs, but in my eyes, the Seattle Seahawks already played a playoff game, and that was last Sunday night.
Wild crowd.
It was a playoff. Anybody that was at that game, announcers-wise or talking on TV, did say, even though it was a crappy game, it was a playoff atmosphere. So they had that pressure already of your backs to the wall and having to win.
Came through.
Because it was the two teams that were fighting for that last playoff spot playing one another. It wasn't so many times you get at the end of the season in the NFL, one team has something to play for and the other one is reduced to the spoilers role. This was for all the marbles, so it was a playoff atmosphere. That will help them if this game is tight late because they've already went through some pressure. But is that enough to get them a win? I don't think so, but I think it can be closer than people think. What's your thoughts?
You touched on it already. Is the NFL playoffs, and not to sound like a cliche, but this is in college where you have, Auburn playing some nobody's school and Auburn's going to win by 50. They're all professionals any given Sunday. It's a cliche, but it's the truth. Seattle is one of the loudest places to play in all football. Drew Brees, he's a super stud, don't get me wrong, but he's thrown a lot of interceptions this year. And, going back to the public perception thing on paper, people are looking at the 21 points, average loss. They're looking at they already got smoked by New Orleans. They're 7-9. It's a no-brainer. Maybe not a no-brainer even with the points. To tease it down, you take the New Orleans and the over, which I'm sure, every square on the planet's going to take. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, let's look at that 34-19 game. Seattle drove up and down the field on them. They were in the red zone a lot that game. I think they kicked like 4 or 5 field goals. At one point in the game, they actually got stuffed on the goal line. The running backs had tons of fumbles. So, like you said, the 34-19 game, bounces here or there. I mean, it's a lot closer game, and it's a road game. They're technically both starting from scratch right now. They're at home. It's an excited crowd. This isn't college where someone's putting their foot on the throat to see how much they can run up the score to boost their rankings. New Orleans doesn't care if they win by 1,000 or they win by 1.
No, because they got to play the next week.
They need to go to the next week, so they're not looking to run up the score. But if they don't have to, they want to win. But if they do get a lead, they're going to protect the lead and look to next weekend. I see the Saints winning the game, but I see them winning 21-17. I see them getting up early. I see Seattle maybe getting some garbage points, and then New Orleans running the clock out. And everyone at home who have the Saints in these teasers, at 4 or whatever, 4.5, are looking, they're going, why couldn't they cover the 4? And that's how sometimes you got to look at the NFL. When you take those big favorites and you tease them down.
I've talked about teasers many times on the show with RJ, and it's actually a part of my handicap. When a teaser looks absolutely too good to be true, it happens. But I'll tell you one factor that neither one of us has touched upon yet in this game is New Orleans is a dome team. You're playing in Seattle. At this time of the year, you can get anything from wind to rain to snow.
Right.
And you don't know what you're going to get in Seattle. So, I mean, that can be a factor as well. I agree with you. I think it's going to be closer than we think. New Orleans does advance to the next round, let's face it. I don't see Seattle finding a way to win this game, but I think it's going to end up being closer than people think. I agree with you, but officially, Johnny Detroit's play is Seattle plus the points for playoff game number 1. We're going to come right back here, Johnny, and we're going to go to Sunday, going to be my best bet. We're going to take a look at Baltimore at Kansas City, playoff game on Sunday.
You said Marco's best bet. Somewhere Randy's shivering in a corner.
Nice. We'll be right back.